Before Hollywood glitz, before the headlines, before the world knew her name, a 7-year-old girl stepped onto The Tonight Show stage in 1982. And in just 15 minutes, everything changed. What made this seemingly ordinary appearance one of the most iconic moments in television history? How could a child, untrained and unscripted, captivate not only the audience,
Please welcome Drew Barrymore.
I've been waiting all my life to meet you.
It's been a wild ride. Can you believe I have 2 daughters around your age?
Kind of scary.
but also the legendary Johnny Carson himself? This is the story of Drew Barrymore's first national spotlight. A moment of pure, unfiltered charisma that redefined authenticity on camera. In an era obsessed with perfection, a little girl with wild hair and an irrepressible spirit left a mark that decades of media scrutiny could never erase, transforming a child star into a cultural icon.
Drew has had so many memorable roles during her nearly 4-decade career, but when we first met her in 1982,
And leaving an indelible imprint on television history forever. When authenticity steals the show. The moment Drew Barrymore entered, everything changed. She literally stumbled down the stairs, missing that tricky step that had tripped up countless guests before her. And instead of crying or getting flustered or needing to reset, she just kept going. Carson, ever the professional, immediately made her feel comfortable by acknowledging it with gentle humor, asking if she'd rehearse that entrance. Her simple, honest response of no, delivered without embarrassment or pretense, set the tone for everything that followed. This wasn't going to be one of those painful interviews where a child gives rehearsed one-word answers.
Have you seen the movie yet?
Yes, but I haven't seen it with a live audience.
While their stage parent hovers nervously off stage. This was going to be something real, something spontaneous, something that felt more like watching a conversation between old friends than a formal television interview. What makes this opening exchange so remarkable is Carson's immediate recognition that he had someone special sitting across from him. Watch how he adjusts his entire approach within seconds. He doesn't talk down to her the way most adults reflexively do with children. He doesn't use that patronizing sing-song voice or ask dumbed-down questions. Instead, he treats her like an equal, engaging with her observations and responses as if she were any other guest on his show. When she explains that her shoes were slippery,
Who've missed that step and fallen right here.
It's probably my shoes because they're real slippery.
he doesn't dismiss it or talk over it. He acknowledges her new shoes, compliments them, and uses that as a springboard into a conversation about her preferences and autonomy. This is masterclass interviewing, the kind of instinctive adjustment that separates good hosts from legendary ones. The conversation flows naturally into territory that would seem mundane in anyone else's hands. They talk about clothes and shopping, about mothers who won't let you buy certain things, about the everyday frustrations of being 7 years old. But Drew transforms these ordinary topics into something captivating through the sheer force of her personality and the specificity of her observations. When she tells Carson that she's been waiting her whole life to meet him and found him on this show, there's a beat where you can see Carson genuinely charmed and slightly thrown off balance.
She is just 7 years old. Would you welcome, please, Drew Barrymore?
Her whole life. 7 years. The innocent earnestness of that statement, delivered with complete sincerity, creates a moment of pure television gold. Carson's response about staying on the show an extra 7 years just so she would show up demonstrates why he was such a master. He matches her energy, validates her feelings, and elevates the exchange into something memorable. Then comes the revelation that stops everyone in their tracks. This 7-year-old stays up late specifically to watch The Tonight Show. Not because her parents have it on, not because she happened to catch it once, but deliberately, making the choice to stay up past her bedtime just to see Johnny Carson.
It's a miracle. Well, that's why I stayed on the show an extra 7 years, just so you would show up here.
When he asks if she understands all the jokes, her response is perfect. Some of them. Carson's comeback that she fits right in is both genuinely funny and deeply respectful. He's not mocking her limited comprehension. He's acknowledging that his humor works on multiple levels and that she's sophisticated enough to engage with what she does understand. This is the kind of moment that separates competent television from extraordinary television, where two people genuinely connect across a vast age difference and create something neither could have achieved alone. What happens next becomes the heart of the interview and reveals exactly why Drew Barrymore was destined for greatness beyond just being cute or talented. Carson asks about her lifestyle in California, about health and fitness and aerobics, topics that would normally produce polite but boring responses from any guest, child, or adult. Instead, Drew launches into an unprompted, completely spontaneous story about getting aerobicized because she didn't want to get confused, about dancing while her mother stayed glued to the telephone, about never getting a goodnight kiss because the phone was always ringing. The specificity and emotional truth of this narrative transforms a simple question into a window into her actual life. You can feel the genuine frustration of a child whose mother is perpetually distracted, the creative solution of finding her own activities, the matter-of-fact acceptance that this is just how things are in her household. Carson, recognizing the comedy gold being handed to him, gently probes deeper without exploitation. He asks what her mother talks about on the phone, then immediately gives Drew an out by saying she doesn't have to reveal any secrets. This is ethical interviewing at its finest, creating space for genuine revelation.
A lot of people think it's irreconcilable, it's irreconcilable.
While protecting the guest from potential embarrassment or family drama. When Drew admits that she likes talking on the phone but can never get on it because her mother monopolizes it, there's real pathos underneath the humor. This isn't a rehearsed anecdote designed to be endearing. This is a child processing her actual feelings about her actual life in real time on national television, and Carson has the wisdom and sensitivity to let it unfold naturally. The stories that become legend. The conversation meanders through swimming in cold pools and lips that turn black and blue, through goggles that she can't quite pronounce and masks that let water into her eyes. Each topic could be throwaways, filler material to get through the segment, but Drew's commitment to every detail transforms them into engaging narrative. When she describes getting out of her friend's pool with discolored lips, you can see her reliving the moment, feeling that cold shock, experiencing the slight alarm at her physical transformation. This isn't performance. This is pure recall and genuine emotion, the kind of authenticity that makes audiences lean forward rather than tune out. Carson recognizes this and follows her lead, asking follow-up questions that illuminate rather than redirect. The transition to commercials demonstrates another level of sophistication that's easy to miss. Carson explains they need to cut away for a commercial, then asks Drew if she knows what those are. Her response, delivered with a slight edge of indignation, reveals that, of course, she's done commercials herself. She's not naive about the television business. She's a working professional who understands the mechanics of the medium. This moment of assertiveness, where she gently pushes back against any assumption that she's just a cute kid who doesn't understand how things work, further establishes her as someone operating on a different level than typical child guests. When they return from break, the conversation turns to names.
I mean, I would love to come all the time. Cole Barrymore, hello.
Specifically, the unusual nature of being called Drew. What follows is another perfect example of how Drew takes mundane topics and makes them fascinating through specific personal details. She knows 3 different Drews, which creates confusion when she tells her mother she's going to call Drew. The specificity of knowing exactly how many people share her name. The acknowledgement that this creates real practical problems in her daily life. The casual way she presents this information as if everyone deals with multiple Drews in their social circle. All of this combines to create a portrait of a child who exists in an unusual world, but treats it as completely normal. Then comes the moment that became iconic. The moment that gets replayed in clip shows and best of compilations and retrospectives about The Tonight Show. Drew tells Carson, with complete openness and zero self-consciousness, that it would be easier to talk without her teeth. The pause, the confusion on Carson's face, the dawning realization of what she means. And then Drew simply removes her partial denture, her flipper as she calls it, and places it on Carson's desk with the casual nonchalance of someone taking off a jacket. The audience erupts. Carson is genuinely stunned. This is unscripted television at its absolute finest. A moment so authentic and unexpected that no writer could have conceived it, and no actor could have sold it with such perfect naturalness. What makes this moment transcendent, rather than merely shocking, is how Drew handles it. There's no embarrassment, no sense that she's revealing something shameful or private. She's simply solving a problem. The flipper is uncomfortable and makes talking difficult, so she's removing it to have a better conversation. Carson, to his eternal credit, recognizes the courage and honesty this represents and celebrates it rather than trying to minimize it or move past it quickly. He points out that most women would never reveal such a secret, that they'd rather suffer in silence than admit to any perceived imperfection. Drew's willingness to prioritize comfort and authenticity over appearance becomes a teaching moment about confidence and self-acceptance, delivered without any heavy-handed moralizing, simply through her example. The conversation that follows about dentists and cavities and having a crush on Dr. Smith showcases Drew's ability to be completely honest about her feelings without calculation or guile. She admits on national television that one reason she likes going to the dentist is because she has romantic feelings for him. She estimates his age, defends his gentleness with teeth, explains that he's teaching her things. The innocence of this confession, the complete lack of awareness that such admissions might be considered private or embarrassing, demonstrates exactly why audiences found her so captivating. In an industry built on image management and careful presentation, here was someone who simply said whatever came to mind with total honesty. The craft behind the charm. When the conversation finally turns to E.T., expecting this to be the highlight that everything has been building toward, what emerges instead is something far more interesting. A revelation that this 7-year-old girl already understands her craft at a sophisticated level, that she approached her audition with strategy and imagination, that she impressed Steven Spielberg not just with talent, but with an instinct for what each project required.
No introduction. Steven Spielberg.
Oh, Drew face. I still care about you. I've always cared about you.
Her explanation of how she got the part demonstrates memory, narrative skill, and self-awareness that would be impressive in an adult actor doing a press junket. The detail about first interviewing for Poltergeist, but finding it too scary, shows decision-making autonomy. The quote about Spielberg saying she had too much personality for that project but perfect for E.T. shows she was paying attention to how adults discussed her, processing their assessments, understanding how the industry categorized her. The demonstration of her audition process becomes pure entertainment. When she explains that Spielberg needed to test whether she could be in awe of something, she doesn't just describe it. She performs it. Right there, In front of millions of viewers, she recreates the exact expression and body language she used to book one of the biggest movies ever made. Then, when prompted to demonstrate the scream test, she doesn't hold back or give a polite little yelp. She lets loose with a full-throated scream that makes the audience jump and Carson laugh in genuine surprise. The commitment to these demonstrations reveals an entertainer's instinct, an understanding that showing is always more powerful than telling. The behind-the-scenes details she shares about having a sore throat during difficult scenes, about promising Spielberg she would try her best, about practicing so much at home that she was able to deliver despite physical discomfort, all paint a picture of professionalism and dedication that contradicts every stereotype about child actors being difficult or unreliable. When she describes coming home after a day of screaming her throat off, sweating and filthy and needing a shower, her shoes scuffed up, she's not complaining. She's explaining the work, the physical toll that performance demands, with pride rather than resentment. This is someone who loves her craft and embraces everything it requires. The moment when an audience member or producer apparently tips Carson off about a boy named Steven on Drew's swimming team creates another opportunity for honest revelation. Drew doesn't deny it or deflect with practiced Hollywood responses. She lights up at the mention, confirms it with enthusiasm, treats her childhood crush as something to celebrate rather than hide. The openness, the lack of calculation, the genuine excitement in her response all reinforce why this interview worked so well. Drew treated the Tonight Show stage like her living room, and Johnny Carson like a trusted family friend, creating intimacy that drew viewers in rather than keeping them at professional distance. Legacy and lasting impact. When Carson brings up her famous family lineage, asking about her grandfather John Barrymore,
from the newsreel, have informed me that they wish to see the Barrymore profile.
Drew's response reveals layers that add depth to our understanding of who she is. She's seen one of his films but didn't like it. It wasn't interesting to her. The honesty of this admission, the willingness to say that her legendary grandfather's work didn't connect with her personally, shows someone who won't pretend or perform false reverence even for family legacy. Carson's response that she's inherited the Barrymore talent becomes more meaningful because it's earned, not just genetic luck, but genuine ability that manifests regardless of whether she appreciates her ancestry. The discussion of E.T. being scary versus the poltergeist project she rejected creates interesting insight into Drew's boundaries and preferences. She found her grandfather's movie scary and uninteresting. She found Poltergeist too frightening to participate in. But E.T., despite having genuinely frightening moments, was acceptable because the alien had a cute face and she came to love him. The specificity of her reasoning, the clear articulation of why some scary content is acceptable.
Robots.
See, a pig sure eats like one.
Drew was just 6 years old when she was cast as Gertie.
While other scary content crosses a line, demonstrates sophisticated emotional intelligence and self-awareness about her own psychology. Then comes another unscripted moment of pure charm. Drew asks if she can say hi to Steven Spielberg. Carson, recognizing another opportunity for magic, immediately grants permission. Drew looks directly into the camera and declares her love for Spielberg with complete sincerity and zero irony. The audience responds with warmth and applause, recognizing they're witnessing genuine affection expressed without filter or calculation. Carson's rueful comment about being second best again, his joke about this being the story of his life with women, plays as both comedy and truth. He's been charmed, captivated, and ultimately declared runner-up to Spielberg in Drew's affections, and he accepts this defeat with grace and humor. The revelation about a potential E.T. sequel becomes news broken accidentally by a 7-year-old who doesn't yet understand that some information is supposed to be kept secret for strategic business reasons. When Carson gently points out that she probably wasn't supposed to tell him that, Drew's response that she can tell him demonstrates the trust and connection she feels. She's not being malicious or deliberately leaking information. She simply believes that Carson is someone she can share things with, that their conversation is intimate rather than public, despite happening in front of millions of viewers. Carson's promise to keep it between them acknowledges and honors that trust, while also recognizing the comedy of trying to keep secret, something she just announced to a national television audience. The viewing of the clip from E.T. serves as a reminder of why Drew became such a phenomenon in the first place. Her performance in the film demonstrates the same naturalness and emotional authenticity that's made this interview so compelling. When she expresses that she enjoyed making the movie.
So what kind of a watch have you got there?
Well, it's actually E.T.
It's an E.T. watch.
Yes.
How many times have you seen the movie?
Seen it 10, 11 and a half times.
It lands as genuine rather than promotional because everything else she said has been so honest. There's no reason to doubt her. The segue into discussing her other celebrity crushes, specifically Dudley Moore, follows the same pattern of openness and specificity that's characterized the entire interview. The moment that defined everything. What happened next became the exclamation point on an already extraordinary interview. Drew announces that she has a song for Carson. Not a song she's been asked to perform, not something planned by producers or parents, but something she's decided on her own to share. And then, sitting on that couch on the Tonight Show stage with her partial denture removed and her natural 7-year-old lisp fully present, she sings Babyface directly to Johnny Carson.
Your face.
About my face. Okay.
You got the cutest little baby face. It is so cute. No one can take your place. Baby face, baby face.
The vulnerability of this moment, the complete lack of self-consciousness, the genuine affection in her voice as she tells him he's got the cutest little baby face and that no one can take his place, creates television that transcends entertainment and becomes something approaching art. Carson's response captures his own genuine surprise and delight. No woman has ever sung to him with her teeth out. It's a joke, yes, but it's also acknowledgement that this entire encounter has been unlike anything else in his decades of hosting. Drew's immediate comeback that he deserves the song, that he really does have a cute little baby face, shows she meant every word. This wasn't performance or manipulation designed to be endearing. This was genuine expression of genuine feeling from someone who hadn't yet learned to calculate or strategize her emotional displays. The closing moments, where Drew declares that she likes Carson too and expresses desire to return to the show, carry weight because of everything that's preceded them. This hasn't been a typical celebrity appearance where contractual obligations are fulfilled and everyone moves on. This has been a real connection between two people who genuinely enjoyed spending time together. Carson's invitation for her to return anytime she wants isn't pro forma politeness.
The past few years is E.T., and this young lady has earned a great deal of attention from her appearance in it, and she is just 7 years old. Would you welcome, please, Drew Barrymore?
It's a sincere desire to experience more of what they've just shared. His reminder not to forget her teeth, delivered with warmth rather than mockery, serves as the perfect final grace note to an interview that honored authenticity above all else. Why this still matters. Looking back across 4 decades, this interview stands as something increasingly rare in modern media. Everything about contemporary celebrity culture militates against the kind of spontaneity and honesty Drew Barrymore displayed that night. Media training teaches guests to stay on message, to pivot away from personal details, to maintain careful control over their image and narrative. Social media has amplified this tendency, creating environments where every word is scrutinized and any perceived misstep becomes fodder for viral outrage. The result is celebrity interviews that feel increasingly sanitized, calculated, and ultimately forgettable. Nothing is revealed because revelation has become dangerous. What Drew did on The Tonight Show that night, showing up as her complete authentic self without filter or pretense, now seems almost impossible to imagine. Could a 7-year-old today remove their dental appliance on television without it becoming a meme or moment of mockery? Could a child discuss their crush on their dentist?
Yeah.
You know why I like going to the dentist?
Why?
Guess.
Okay. You got a crush on Dr. Smith.
That's one reason.
Without social media erupting in concerns about appropriateness? Could anyone, child or adult, be as nakedly honest about their mother's phone habits or their own insecurities without those admissions being weaponized or turned into clickbait headlines? The answer to all these questions is probably no, which makes this interview not just entertaining, but important as historical document of a different relationship between celebrity and audience. Johnny Carson's role in facilitating this magic cannot be overstated. His decision to treat Drew as an intellectual equal rather than a cute curiosity, his willingness to follow her conversational lead rather than sticking to prepared questions, his instinct for when to probe deeper and when to give her space, all demonstrated the kind of hosting mastery that's increasingly rare. Modern talk shows, driven by tight schedules and segment planning and viral clip optimization, rarely allow for the kind of organic development that characterized this interview. Everything is rushed, packaged, designed for maximum social media impact. The result is content that's efficient, but rarely magical. The contrast between Drew's unmanaged honesty and today's carefully curated celebrity personas reveals something profound about what we've lost. When every interaction is strategic, when every appearance is designed to promote a specific project or reinforce a specific brand identity, authenticity becomes the rarest commodity. We're so accustomed to performance that genuine human connection feels shocking when it occurs. Drew Barrymore, at 7 years old, not yet trained to calculate or strategize, not yet taught to protect her image or maintain professional distance, simply showed up as herself and trusted that being herself would be enough. And she was absolutely right. The enduring magic of real moments. This interview has been studied by communication professors, referenced by comedians and actors, analyzed by entertainment historians, and replayed countless times across various media platforms. Its longevity stems from its unreplicability. You cannot manufacture the kind of chemistry Carson and Drew generated through planning or rehearsal. You cannot script genuine surprise or authentic emotion. The magic emerged from the specific circumstances of that specific night, from the unique combination of Drew's personality and Carson's skill, from the willingness of both participants to let things unfold rather than forcing them toward predetermined outcomes. For those of us who study great television, who analyze what makes certain moments transcend their medium, this interview provides a masterclass in every principle that matters. Authenticity over polish, spontaneity over structure, human connection over promotional efficiency, the courage to be vulnerable and the wisdom to create space for vulnerability to occur. These aren't just abstract concepts. They're the practical elements that separated The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson from everything that came before or since, And they're the reasons this particular interview with this particular 7-year-old continues to captivate audiences decades after it first aired. Drew Barrymore went on to have one of the most fascinating careers in Hollywood history.
This is my first award.
After starring in the hit film E.T.,
The child star trajectory that destroys so many instead became the foundation for her evolution into a respected actress, producer, director, and entrepreneur. But before all of that, before the struggles and comeback and ultimate triumph, there was this night. This perfect distillation of who she was at 7 years old, captured and preserved for anyone who wants to understand what makes someone truly special. Not the manufactured specialness of celebrity branding, but the genuine article. The kind of charisma and authenticity that cannot be taught or faked, only recognized and appreciated when it appears. As the lights fade and the echoes of this story linger, remember, what you've seen tonight is only the surface. Beneath every moment, every candid word, lies a network of choices, influences, and secrets that stretch far beyond the frame. The truth is rarely simple, and every revelation opens the door to new mysteries, challenges, and unexpected connections. What seems settled now may unravel with the next discovery, the next voice, the next glimpse behind the curtain. And so the question remains, hanging in the silence. When the next layer is revealed, will we recognize its significance? Or will it slip past, unnoticed, leaving the story even more complex than we dared imagine? The journey isn't over. It has only just begun.